Our story kicks off in the year 594 of the Holy Calendar, at the Kandria Arcanist Academy. Standing before the massive castle, our main character is blown away. This is, after all, the best magic school in the Empire. This is Lewis Carroll, a 13-year-old kid who's just realizing how many people are trying to snag a spot at the academy. A moment later, a familiar voice calls his name, making the boy turn around to look through the crowd. It was his parents, who come running up, complaining that he was way too fast and left them in the dust. Right away, his worried mother asks if he brought his ID and the dye for his hair. She's scared because she heard that some applicants get hunted down just because of their hair and eye color. Hearing this, the boy's father tries to calm Lucilla down, saying that magic is the only way out of their predicament. He explains that in the Northern Empire, this is the only academy where commoners can even take the entrance exam. Because of this, the Kandria Arcanist Academy has become the greatest hope for our MC's future. As one of the 10 great academies, this elite institution was founded by the royal family itself. There, the greatest arcanist masters in the empire teach students the magical arts. On top of that, other forms of power are also mastered by the students who train on the grounds. Over the last 10 years, many guardians from non-noble backgrounds have risen to protect the empire. Thanks to this, the academy became famous, since most of these heroes were its graduates. Lewis Carroll's father smiles, saying this is the perfect place for his son to finally learn magic. Lucilla immediately agrees with her husband, while our MC declares he's going to become a great master. With a determined look, he reveals he's going to get stronger to take the orphanage back from the church. Hearing her son say this, the woman is completely taken aback, at a total loss for words. Julian consoles his wife, who feels like a terrible mother, but he comforts her, saying she already does so much. Our MC thanks his mom, telling her he's only alive today because of her care. From there, he remembers his past life, where he dreamed of being the greatest fighter but had severe asthma. Even stuck with a respirator and in a wheelchair, he never lost his passion for martial arts. That passion bore fruit, and he became a scholar who helped revive martial arts with his thesis. But some sleazy scholar stole his work and, get this, accused him of being the real thief. Basically, the guy used his illness against him, claiming a sick person didn't deserve any glory. In the end, even his own parents abandoned him and left him to pass on, taking away his respirator. In his final moments, he wished to live longer and have a healthy body with a family that loved him. And his wish came true in the year 90 of the Holy Calendar, in the city of Mantia in the Northern Empire. Back then, someone asked Lucilla if she was really going to take in that child because of his hair. At that moment, the baby wondered where he was, since he should have been gone, while another nun worried. But Lucilla says the child is innocent and adopts him, naming him Lewis Carroll. Back in the present, our MC reflects happily, because now he has a healthy body and a family that loves him. Suddenly, an arrogant noble shows up, shoving his mother and yelling for her to get out of the way. The push sends Lucilla tumbling to the ground, and her son and husband immediately rush to help her up. The guy scoffs at Lewis Carroll's dream, saying it's impossible for a commoner to become a grandmaster. Hearing this, Lewis gets furious and glares at the noble with a look of pure rage. The noble, disgusted, says he touched a commoner and hopes his luck doesn't run out. Our MC is seeing red and gets ready to throw down with the guys. But his father grabs his arm, reminding him to focus on the exam, which is about to start. Lewis tries to resist, but his father's grip is firm, stopping him from moving forward. His mother also scolds him, asking him to hang in there since he promised not to cause any trouble. At his parents' request, he calms down, though reluctantly. With that, he apologizes to Lucilla, who comforts him with a gentle pat on the head. The nobles walk away, calling the situation a buzzkill, and go to get their numbers. Just then, the crowd parts for an important-looking kid who arrives, drawing everyone's attention. This is Kane Aranka, the heir to the powerful Ranka family, shining like a true noble. Lewis Carroll glares at the nobles who bothered him with hatred, promising they'll have to deal with him later. He then turns to his worried mother and assures her he'll be fine and will pass the test. From a distance, Kane overhears Lewis's declaration as he shouts that he will become a grandmaster. With that, he proclaims he's going to learn magic and show everyone, while the nobles mock him. He then runs, full of determination, toward the exam, because in this life, he vows to become the strongest. All of this so he can protect what is most precious to him, his new, beloved family. His parents watch him worried, because out of 20,000 applicants, only about 30 make it through. But Julian remarks that his adopted son is the most stubborn person he's ever met. And when Lewis decides to do something, he just goes for it, and their job is to support him. Our MC arrives at the exam hall and quickly notices that everyone there is older than him. Suddenly, a man descends from the sky, announcing the start of the 160th entrance exam. He introduces himself as Aronian Smith, the powerful headmaster of the academy and the exam supervisor. The crowd is stunned by the Grandmaster's presence, while Lewis thinks about the world's 6 power ranks. The power ranks are divided into apprentice, fighter, master, grandmaster, sage, and finally, saint. That means our MC realizes the headmaster is from the third highest class, the world's elite. With that, Aronian points to a staircase and says the first test is to climb it. The headmaster reveals that the passes for the exam are located right behind the upperclassmen guarding the path. He explains that there are 1,000 passes in total, and only those who grab one can continue. One of the upperclassmen then warns that when the passes run out, the test will end for everyone. With a shout of "Begin!" the crowd of applicants rushes desperately toward the staircase. A few hasty guys run ahead, shouting that they'll be first and that the test is a piece of cake. At the top of the stairs, an upperclassman grins sinisterly and welcomes the examinees. From there, he unleashes a terrifying red aura and yells for them to "Welcome to heck." A wave of power distorts the air and hits the group that was running in front head on. The applicants who thought they were the best are caught completely off guard and terrified by the attack. A moment later, several of them are sent flying as their disqualification numbers are announced. The other applicants are in shock and recognize the upperclassman as Lord Sheath, the minister's son. Meanwhile, Lewis Carroll watches everything calmly, sensing the pure killing intent coming from the attack. The applicants are totally confused, wondering if that was really an attack. Our MC walks calmly forward and explains that it wasn't a real attack. Seeing this, the calm Lord Sheath takes a step forward with a look of contempt. The noble comments that anyone with a weak will who was there would have surely fainted from fear by now because of his powerful aura. Sheath is surprised and says Lewis Carroll seems to have some guts for still standing, but he adds that there are plenty of talented people there, and no room for a commoner. Unfazed, our MC continues to stare down the upperclassman with a challenging look. Faced with that attitude, the noble decides he's going to teach the kid a lesson. From there, he focuses his power and launches a direct attack to make the boy kneel. The other applicants feel the crushing pressure and scream that they can't breathe. While everyone else hits the floor, Lewis Carroll remains standing, unaffected by the aura. He then asks if this is all of Sheath's killing intent, saying it only scares regular folks. In that moment, Lewis remembers the terrible things he's faced in the past. For someone trained like him, that pressure was nothing more than child's play. With that, he remembers he's faced real monsters, so Sheath's pressure is useless. With a cold, focused gaze, our MC prepares to counter the upperclassman's attack. Unlike Lewis, the tough guy noble seems to have never faced real danger in his life. Our MC smirks disdainfully and says that this intimidation attempt won't work on him. From there, he lunges forward with incredible speed, shattering the upperclassman's energy barrier. Lewis moves like a bolt of lightning, passing through Sheath's aura as if it were nothing. His face contorted in fury, he prepares to show these nobles what real power is. He then yells that he'll show them what true killing intent feels like. A powerful blue aura explodes from his fist. The other applicants are completely floored by the display of power. Sheath is frozen in fear, feeling the crushing pressure coming from a mere commoner. Lewis's fist stops inches from the upperclassman's face, who can't even react. A moment later, our MC stopped his punch, making a powerful impression. With a cold glare, Lewis observes the fallen upperclassman, showing his superiority in combat. Sheath is panicking, unable to believe what he just saw. The other nobles' jaws are on the floor, as they can't believe the kid withstood that without using magic. Not caring about the commotion, our MC simply walks past the fallen upperclassman, saying he's moving on. From there, he calmly reaches the board where the passes for the next phase of the exam are kept. With that, his hand reaches for a pass, securing his spot in the next stage of the selection. Seeing this, Sheath gets up, absolutely furious, and screams in rage for being humiliated. He refuses to accept defeat and launches a powerful magic attack at the boy's back. Lewis Carroll spins around quickly and prepares to defend against the blow using only his bare hands. The attack hits his arms, but our MC manages to block the magic, creating a shockwave. Sheath is in disbelief, unable to accept that a commoner stopped his attack without magic. Headmaster Aronian appears and announces that the boy has passed the test, but Sheath complains that he's a commoner. Aronian then explains that the academy treats everyone equally, because in the face of monsters, there is no difference. Humbled by this lesson, Sheath falls silent, and our MC thanks the headmaster for his intervention. A moment later, Aronian congratulates Lewis Carroll for passing the first phase of the exam, but the headmaster looks at the boy's hair and comments that its color is a bit concerning. Aronian's concern hangs a cloud of suspense in the air about our MC's future. Our MC asks what the headmaster meant about his hair color. Suddenly, Aronian's hand touches the boy's shoulder, catching him by surprise. He then says that if Lewis is admitted, he'll prepare a potion to hide his unique traits. Lewis Carroll is suspicious of the plan but decides to focus on passing the second test first. With that, he moves on to the next phase of the exam, leaving the nobles behind. Meanwhile, one of the upperclassmen watches him with a look full of rage and contempt. The guy is furious that Aronian helped a commoner and vows to never forget that name. A moment later, everyone gathers in the second arena where the next exam is about to begin. Of the 20,000 applicants, only 1,200 remained, and almost all of them were elite nobles. Just then, the group of nobles that provoked him earlier approaches to stir up more trouble. Their leader threatens him, saying that next time, no one will show up to save him. But our MC remains with his arms crossed, not giving a single care about the noble's threat. The other guy says that if it weren't for the headmaster, he would have been kicked out a long time ago. In response, Lewis Carroll just smirks and calls the guy a complete idiot in front of everyone. The noble is shocked and absolutely enraged by the insult he just heard from the commoner. Lewis Carroll, with a mocking smile, says that the Grand Master has much better judgment than they do. This infuriates the noble, who threatens to knock our MC down with a punch right in the face. But Lewis just smirks, showing not an ounce of fear in the face of the threat. The guy's eyes glow with rage, showing he's not messing around and is about to attack. A moment later, he lunges forward with everything he's got and throws a punch straight at our hero's face. Even with the punch coming, the boy remains calm and analyzes his opponent's movement. From there, he stops the noble's punch using just 2 fingers with absurd ease. In a swift motion, our MC counters and lands a direct hit on his opponent. The noble panics because his body simply won't move at all anymore. Lewis then reveals that he used a martial arts technique to paralyze the guy's meridians. The impact of the blow sends the noble's body flying across the arena. His friends despair and shout for their companion who was so easily defeated. The boy hits the arena floor hard, kicking up dust and startling the other applicants. One of his friends is also knocked down by the force of the impact, while the other runs to help. The noble lies on the ground in a lot of pain as his friend worriedly asks if he's okay. The fallen noble complains desperately that he can't feel or move his own arm. With that, he accuses our MC of using poison and shouts that he's going to report him right now. At this point, Lewis Carroll approaches and calmly explains that it wasn't poison, but martial arts. He says he was holding back at his mother's request, but his patience has a limit. With a serious look, the boy states that only those prepared to take a hit can throw one. Suddenly, a hand grabs his wrist, stopping him from continuing the fight with the noble. It was Kane Aranka, who stops him and reminds him that they are in the middle of an important exam. The hare then asks if our MC doesn't mind being disqualified because of the fight. Lewis stares at Kane in silence, but his eyes still burn with rage over the situation. The other nobles yell for Kane not to get involved and threaten to finish Lewis right there. But Kane glares at them and tells them to back off, as they know very well who they're talking to. Faced with the hare's threat, the nobles are furious but decide to drop the fight. And so, the group's leader turns and leaves with his friends, muttering in anger. He thinks hatefully that it doesn't matter if they're commoners or nobles, they're all trash. Lewis watches the guys walk away and concludes that all nobles are the same, using their power to oppress others. With the fight over, Kane approaches and praises our MC's strength and courage. From there, the hare extends his hand and invites Lewis Carroll to form a team with him. A moment later, a few girls show up and offer to join the nobles' team. In no time, a crowd of nobles surrounds Kane, wanting a spot on his team. Other applicants comment that teaming up with the heir of the Aranka family is a guaranteed pass. But our MC just turns his head and completely ignores the guy's offer. Suddenly, a magic circle of light forms in the center of the large combat arena. Floating in the air, Headmaster Aronian congratulates everyone for passing the test of will. A moment later, he announces that the next stage will finally be a test of power. At that, glowing marks appear on each applicant's chest, leaving everyone very confused. Kane is surprised to see that his mark is of the Earth attribute, just like several others. The hero of the Aranka family is completely shocked, not understanding what's happening. Suddenly, Kane's body and the others become heavy, causing them to fall to the ground. A huge earth magic circle activates across the entire arena, trapping the applicants. Aronian then explains that they will fight under the influence of this magic for the second exam. The nobles complain about the Grand Master's earth magic, finding it unbelievable they have to fight like this. One of them points to Kane, who is walking normally in the middle of the arena, unaffected by the magic. The hero of the Aranka family struggles to stay on his feet, while the others have already fallen. Suddenly, Kane looks up, surprised by something that catches his attention in the middle of the arena. It was our MC running up the arena wall as if gravity didn't exist. The crowd is in shock to see that the boy managed to reach the stage where the headmaster was. Aronian faces Lewis Carroll and comments that he was the first to reach the stage again. The applicants recognize the boy from the first test and feel the intense pressure coming from him. Kane can barely stand even with 3 years of master level training and finds the pressure just right. Aronian then announces that only the applicants still standing can participate in the next test. A moment later, the Academy's headmaster uses his magic to create a brilliant light in the arena. An arsenal of weapons appears, and he says that anyone who wants one can choose one to use in combat. The weapons begin to spin in the air and fly toward the applicants still on their feet. With incredible agility, our MC grabs several swords at once from the air. He chooses one sword and faces two nobles who warn him that anyone who leaves the stage is disqualified. From high on the stage, Headmaster Aronian announces that the exam will finally begin. With a snap of his fingers, he gives a command for the imprisoned slimes to be released into the arena. In that instant, all the weapons the applicants were holding simply vanish into thin air. The guys are totally confused and wonder what these imprisoned slimes could be. But our MC senses something strange and quickly looks up, realizing the danger. A moment later, several blue energy spheres begin to fall from the sky at high speed. The spheres hit the arena floor and scatter, leaving the applicants very confused. Slowly, the creatures reveal themselves as slimes, and the guys realize this is the test. The rules appear, showing that blocking is worth 1 point, dodging is worth 2, and defeating is worth 5. Aronian then explains that the ranking will be by points, and only the top 100 will advance. Our MC understands that the competition will be tough to be among those who pass. From there, a giant slime starts shooting smaller globs as if they were projectiles. Some applicants think the monsters are silly and believe it will be very easy to defeat them. One of the nobles gets excited and prepares to score his first 5 easy points. So he runs with his sword drawn to attack the small blue creature. But suddenly, the creature gets a very annoyed look on its face and prepares to attack. From there, the slime shoots off like a cannonball toward the cocky applicant. The noble is completely shocked, as he didn't expect the monster to be so fast. With that, his sword shatters, and the blow hits him square in the face. At the same time, another applicant screams in fright as one of the slimes flies toward him. A moment later, the guy is hit hard and sent flying by the force of the impact. The other examinees panic as they see the true strength of the small creatures. One of them yells for everyone to be careful as more slimes continue to fall from the sky. As a result, several applicants are hit by the attacks and fall to the ground defenseless. The arena turns into utter chaos, with monsters attacking from all sides without stopping. While the fight rages on, the proctors jot down the scores of each participant. A woman informs Aronian that the young masters of the Aranka and Durahan families are in the exam. Because of this, she believes a new point record might be broken this year. But another proctor comments that there are also excellent commoners, like the boy he helped. Aronian smiles and says that Louis Carril is interesting and might surprise everyone in the test. But the proctor notices that for now, our MC is just observing the fight. He comments that the boy hasn't moved an inch since the test began. An applicant wonders what he's doing and thinks the slimes are just too fast. With that, they mock him, saying a commoner will be eliminated from the competition soon enough. Suddenly, a giant slime charges at high speed toward our hero. The creature approaches rapidly, ready to hit him head on with its attack. But our MC remains calm and faces the monster with a look of pure boredom. In a swift move, he dodges the attack, which hits another applicant who was behind him. The guys who underestimated him are left with their jaws dropped, unable to believe he managed to dodge. A moment later, another blue creature charges toward him to try and knock him down. But the boy dodges again, and the monster hits yet another one of the nobles who was nearby. With a focused gaze, our MC prepares to show his true skill. From there, several slimes surround him and attack from all sides at once. The noble who mocked him smirks, certain that this time he won't be able to escape. Faced with the danger, our MC simply closes his eyes and concentrates completely. In that moment, our MC remembers his training on a mountain of ice. His friends complained that throwing rocks at him was dangerous and that someone could get hurt. But Louis Carril calms them down, saying it's fine because he wanted to test a new ability. With that, the guys get ready and warn him that the attacks are heading his way. A moment later, they throw several rocks at the same time to test their friends' reflexes. Louis remembers that in his past life he created a hypothesis about the human body. From there, he trained to accelerate the transmission of information from the brain. This way, he could calculate trajectories and react instantly to any attack. With his eyes closed, he gathers all the data from the rapidly approaching attacks. Next, his mind calculates all possible evasion routes in a fraction of a second. And then, he moves with perfection, dodging all the rocks without getting hit. His friend's jaws drop, completely shocked by the boy's skill. Our MC wipes the sweat from his brow, happy that his technique worked perfectly. The guys run up to him and ask how he did that, and if it was a new technique. He then explains that the skill's name is Void Combat Calculation, leaving them confused. He smirks and explains that the outcome of the battle is decided before it even begins. From there, he claims that his technique can predict the outcome of any combat. Back in the present, his eyes glow intensely as he activates his power to the max. His mind begins to process the information and calculates the exact trajectory of each monster. The calculations are done at an absurd speed, predicting every move of the slimes in the arena. With that, the 4 monsters surround him and attack from all sides at the same time. Our MC realizes that the slimes are fast but can only attack in a straight line. Therefore, he just needs to calculate the ricochet angle and predict all of their trajectories. With the plan set, he begins to move with impressive agility around the arena. This way, the boy dodges the attacks with ease, without getting hit by any of them. With 4 dodges, he secures 8 points and prepares for the next phase of his plan. A moment later, he picks up his sword and imbues it with a very bright blue energy. With the weapon in hand, our MC declares that now it's his turn to attack the monsters. He then uses his martial arts technique and launches a powerful sword slash at the slimes. Anirecap, who was watching from a distance, is completely shocked by the scene he just witnessed. The proctors are stunned and ask if he actually read the slime's movements. The other confirms and says that the boy's perception rivals that of a true fighter. Seeing this, Kane realizes he is a special fighter and decides he needs to team up with him. Suddenly, our MC feels something strange approaching and turns his head to the side. It was another slime coming his way, and he prepares to score a few more points. With that, he uses his technique and readies a sword thrust to earn 5 points. But at the last second, another blade pierces the creature right in front of him, stealing his points. Lewis Carroll is furious and glares at the noble, asking if he stole his kill on purpose. Anirecap just smirks and confirms that yes, he did steal it, without showing a hint of shame. From there, he says he didn't steal from our hero and swings his sword quickly. With a precise movement, the hair perfectly slices the creature in half with his blade. Meanwhile, the other applicants continue to fight desperately to score some points. The noble then points to the other fighters and says he actually stole their points. A moment later, he introduces himself as Kane and invites the boy to steal points together. But our MC just stares at him with a bored expression, unimpressed by the proposal. Kane explains he just wants a good ranking and proposes a competition to see who gets more points. With a challenging look, he asks our MC to show off his full power already. Lewis Carroll smiles confidently and accepts the noble's challenge without a shred of fear. From there, he grips his sword firmly and prepares for the point competition. But the boy raises the stakes, saying the loser will have to obey the winner in everything. Seeing this, one of Sheath's archers gets furious seeing the two teaming up in the arena. He then comments that with all the chaos, this is the perfect chance to take them both out. The noble who humiliated our MC earlier smiles menacingly, agreeing with the plan. Just then, a slime flies toward the archers, who prepare for the attack. A moment later, the group's leader gives the order, and they aim their bows at the boys. Meanwhile, the two fight side by side, protecting each other from the slime attacks in the arena. Our MC blocks one of the monsters with his sword, shielding Kane from the attack. Suddenly, a shower of arrows flies toward them, catching the duo by surprise. The arrows hit the ground and cause a massive explosion that kicks up a lot of dust. Kane is completely shocked because Louis protected him and took the full brunt of the attack. The noble archer smirks maliciously and celebrates, certain that he hit his target, but our MC just gives a little smirk, showing no concern about the attack. Seeing this, the archer is completely stunned, not understanding what just happened. The dust settles, revealing Lewis Carroll, who caught the arrows using just his bare hands. The noble's jaws drop as they wonder how he managed to react so quickly. Anirecap approaches and asks if he's okay, calling the guys trash for playing dirty. The leader of the archers is enraged by the insult and orders his men to aim for the hair. From there, he uses a technique and readies a double arrow with a dark and powerful aura. With that, 2 arrows fly at high speed toward the hair of the Anirecap family. Kane scoffs at the attack and uses his sword to deflect the arrows with extreme ease. But he doesn't notice that the arrow with the malicious aura was hidden right behind the other one. Suddenly, the hair senses the threat and turns around, startled by the real danger. A moment later, the sound of the attack echoes through the arena as blood flies everywhere. Kane is shocked because our MC jumped in front and stopped the arrow with his hand. Kane looks at the boy's injured hand, but Lewis says that he is their real target. The proctors comment that the attack was malicious, and one suggests disqualifying the archers. But Aronian says there's no need, as they'll lose anyway, and orders them to prepare healing potions. Back in the arena, our MC turns and confirms if the noble's name is really Kane. With a grin, Lewis Carroll grips his sword like a baseball bat and asks if he's ever heard of a little game called baseball. A moment later, one of the slimes flies toward them, and the boy gets ready to bat the creature away. From there, his mind calculates all the physics behind the swing to make the attack perfect. His eyes glow with blue energy as he focuses all his strength on the decisive blow. And so, he bats the creature with his sword using the baseball technique he created himself. The blue monster is launched with full force, looking like a real, powerful cannonball. The projectile flies straight toward the group of archers, who are terrified by what they see. With that, the slime hits the group's leader head on with completely overwhelming force. The impact is so strong that the noble is sent flying across the entire combat arena. Lying on the ground, number 438 is officially disqualified from the exam. Our MC celebrates that one's down, while Kane finds the commoner's game pretty interesting. The other archers are desperate and furious, shouting for their defeated friend. One of the archers gets distracted and wonders where our MC went in the middle of the arena. Suddenly, Lewis Carroll appears in the air and uses another slime to attack the guy from above by surprise. He then yells that this is the second one and hits the creature with his sword, sending it to the ground. Because of this, the blue monster smashes right into the face of the second archer in the group of nobles. The impact sends the guy flying backward with a hilarious look of pure desperation. A moment later, number 1439 is disqualified, and the last noble panics. Our MC appears behind the last guy and warns him that now it's just him left to settle the score. The noble then threatens him, saying the upperclassmen won't let a simple commoner get this far. Just then, Kane sneaks up and simply sticks his foot out in front of the archer to trip him. The hero mocks him, telling him to be more careful as the guy falls flat on his face. With the fight resolved, Kane thanks our hero and worriedly asks if his hand is okay. Lewis Carroll shakes his hand and says everything's fine, adding that he's pretty decent for a noble. Kane replies not to lump him in with the others and reveals he's from the Great Aranka family. The Great Families are powerful clans that have produced many grandmasters and sages for generations. As they fight side by side, our MC reflects that there are all kinds of nobles in the world. From a distance, other nobles are furious that a commoner is meddling in their competition. Because of this, they team up and shout that they won't let the duo score any more points. Faced with the threat, our MC and Kane look at each other with serious, determined expressions. A moment later, a horde of nobles rushes toward them, yelling that commoners should disappear. At the same time, other applicants realize Kane is the target and decide to help the hare. With that, a massive brawl breaks out, with Kane's supporters charging at the other nobles. The arena descends into total chaos, and our MC warns Kane to watch out for the attacks. From afar, a girl and a small mage watch the commotion, finding it all very interesting. At that point, the girl named Miliana rushes into the fray to make the nobles regret their actions. Our MC realizes he's become the target of many people and that this will complicate things. Suddenly, several slimes appear out of nowhere, and he has to dodge the creature's attacks. Meanwhile, the small mage takes advantage of the chaos and trips one of the nobles. A moment later, Miliana uses her weapon and launches a powerful blow that sends several guys flying. At the same time, a red-haired guy with a giant hammer smashes his opponents with a single swing. With a grin on his face, the guy laughs and says the brawl is awesome and a lot of fun. The red-haired guy comments that punching people is way more fun than it looks. With that, he adds that it's much better than just hitting slimes. From there, the guy spins his hammer with all his might, preparing an area of effect attack. With a battle cry, he warns everyone to get out of his way. His spinning attack hits several applicants and sends them flying with great force. A moment later, he stops his attack and observes the enormous damage he caused in the arena. The ground is littered with fallen nobles after the powerful blow from the giant hammer. One of the proctors asks Aronian if they shouldn't stop the massive brawl, but another proctor is worried that all the nobles might end up disqualified. The headmaster says the place has its own rules and that public opinion doesn't matter. Suddenly, a huge pillar of light erupts in the middle of the arena, grabbing everyone's attention. Floating in the air, Aronian declares that the second exam has finally come to an end. He then announces that the results and the scores of those who passed will be announced later. The earth magic fades and several applicants collapse to the ground, completely exhausted from the test. The injured are instructed to drink healing potions to recover their energy and heal themselves. Our MC holds the healing potion, impressed by the mysterious power it emanates. He thinks that even the most basic potion costs 3 silver coins, which is way too expensive for him. Kane approaches and tells him to relax, saying he won't make fun of him even if he wins their bet. A moment later, Aronian announces that the results of the second exam will finally be revealed to everyone. A huge magic scroll appears in the air, and Kane asks what our hero's ranking was. The nobles mock him because the commoner's name isn't on the list, which only shows up to 6th place. The voice explains that the top 5 broke records and announces Miliana Royce in 5th place. Next, 4th place is revealed to be Kane Aranka, who has a very serious look on his face. The 3rd place winner is Faye Durahan, who smiles confidently at all the other applicants. Our MC gets tense, wondering if he was disqualified for attacking the nobles. But to everyone's surprise, 2nd place goes to Lewis Carroll with 887 points. Kane's jaw drops and he asks confusedly who this guy is, since he doesn't know him. With a smile on his face, our MC says his identity is a secret for now. Kane then accepts his defeat and asks what the winner wants, but Lewis says he'll tell him after the exam. From there, the glorious 1st place is announced with a score never before seen at the Academy. And 1st place, with a record of 888 points, is Neil Gunn, the hammer guy. With a confident smile, He says there are some interesting people around and hopes he won't be disappointed. The other nobles are shocked that 2 commoners took first and second, surpassing the Durahan family. The small mage notices that Faye's hand is trembling with either rage or perhaps pure excitement. Faye then stares at the winner with a challenging look and says she would love to fight him one day. Meanwhile, a group of nobles is annoyed at having lost to simple commoners in the competition. Their leader is furious and calls the others a complete disgrace to all nobility. The proctors comment that it's the first time commoners from an orphanage have taken the top 2 spots. Aronian then asks if they know the real reason the Arcanists Association cares for orphans. He explains that a person's true strength has nothing to do with their social status. With the end of the second exam, the headmaster tells all who pass to go to the location of the next test. Kane comments that Lewis almost got first place and wonders which of the 2 commoners is stronger. The group arrives at the third training ground, a dense forest, for the final challenge of the selection. Suddenly, Aronian appears in the air and announces that the last exam will be a battle royal for emblems. A moment later, he explains that he will distribute the emblems and teleport everyone to a random location. The emblems float toward the applicants as Aronian explains that the goal is to collect as many as they can. With a serious look, he warns that anyone who loses their emblem will be disqualified on the spot. At that point, Kane warns our MC that the highest ranked will be easy targets in the forest. Our MC understands that the rankings were announced precisely to create this hunting scenario. The headmaster then smiles and tells everyone to demonstrate their skills and survive until the end. Teleported into the forest, Lewis is determined, as his admission is just 1 step away. A moment later, a voice calls him a commoner, making our hero look back in surprise. It was a brute with an axe who accuses him of humiliating all the nobles during the exam. Unfazed, our MC stares the guy down with a cold look, showing no fear. The nobles surround the boy and mock him, saying Kane isn't around to protect him anymore. With that, our hero looks around and realizes he's fallen into a very well-planned ambush. To make matters worse, an archer aims a crossbow at him from the top of a hill. Our MC then understands that his location was leaked by the teleportation team. Tired of talking, the brute charges with his axe to finish the boy off once and for all. The guy swings his axe powerfully, but Lewis Kirill dodges with incredible agility. 2 other nobles with spears attack our MC from behind, yelling that he won't escape. But Lewis Kirill leaps over the spears, dodging the attack with great ease. Suddenly, a green magic arrow whizzes past him, catching the boy by surprise. With a quick movement, he twists in the air and manages to block the arrow with his sword. He then lands on the ground and wonders what that magic attack that came out of nowhere was. The brute yells at him to give up already, because he's going to meet his end right there in the forest. From there, the 4 nobles attack at the same time, but our hero defends himself masterfully. A moment later, another magic arrow flies toward him in the midst of the battle's chaos. Our MC gets annoyed as he realizes the magic attack came again to interfere with him. With that, he turns and blocks the arrow once more with his sword without any difficulty. One of the guys mocks him and reveals that the arrow was actually wind magic from his spear. He then charges forward and launches a direct attack with his spear to hit the boy. But our MC dodges again, and the noble gets furious that he can't land a hit. The boy is frustrated because his technique can't calculate the trajectory of magic attacks. So, he takes a deep breath and thinks of a new plan to deal with the situation. From there, he decides to use the sen-no-sen technique to counter-attack even before the enemy. With this in mind, he prepares to use his opponent's own power against them. One of the nobles gets impatient with the delay and yells for everyone to attack at once. A moment later, the 3 guys charge at our MC with everything they've got, without hesitation. But our MC just smirks, as he was already expecting this combined attack from the nobles. He then moves forward at the perfect time to execute his counter-attack plan with great precision. The brute celebrates, thinking he has finally cornered the boy with his powerful blow. But the axe just grazes him as our hero dodges underneath with incredible agility. With his sword, he diverts the axe's trajectory, using the weapon's hilt as a lever. Because of this, the brute loses his balance, and his axe flies toward one of his friends. The weapon hits one of the nobles head-on, while our MC kicks the other with full force. The axe guy still falls on top of the archer while Lewis defends himself from the last noble. Suddenly, the spear noble climbs a tree and fires another wind magic arrow. Our MC realizes the guy is using his spear to create the magic attacks. In a swift move, he uses the noble as a shield to block the approaching magic arrow. With the noble as a shield, the attack hits him square on, and he picks up the spear that fell to the ground. From there, our MC grips the weapon firmly and aims at the noble in the tree. With all his strength, he spins and throws the spear as if it were a real missile. The spear flies with full force and hits the tree dead, on knocking the noble down with the impact. Suddenly, a blue energy freezes the ground and pulls all the emblems toward him. With that, the emblems of the fallen nobles fly directly into our hero's hands. Our MC then grabs the emblems and holds them firmly in his hand. With a victorious smile, he announces that he'll be taking all the emblems from that group. The group's leader gets up, furious, and tells the archer to use magic at full power. Suddenly, a voice asks if he was talking to him, and we see that it was Kane Aranka. The archer who was in the tree falls hard to the ground, completely knocked out by the blow. Sitting on a branch, Kane mocks the noble and says he can't use his magic anymore. The group's leader panics, not believing that Kane managed to escape the trap. Kane then reveals that he made the guys spill the plan, and that they underestimated the Aranka family. With the plan ruined, the noble flips out in anger and vows to finish them both right there. But suddenly, a crossbow bolt hits the noble dead on, taking him down for good. Kane lands next to Lewis, who complains about the noise, but is relieved that he's okay. The hero says they were weak, and our MC offers him the emblems he collected. Kane offers to help with future ambushes, but Lewis declines, saying he'll handle it. Suddenly, Faye Durahan appears, applauding and praising our hero's attitude. With a challenging look, the girl approaches and demands that one of them fight her. Our MC recognizes her as Faye, the powerful daughter of a grandmaster. Lewis then asks if she's friends with Kane, but the hero denies the accusation, annoyed. He confesses that he's fought her before but lost because he let his guard down, and our hero teases him. Kane suggests ignoring her since she's already an apprentice-level mage, and it's better to collect emblems. Hearing this, Faye calls him a coward for wanting to run, and this irritates our MC. With a smile, he accepts the fight, as he was curious to see how an elite noble fights. The girl gets excited and says she'll fight without magic to make the battle fairer. A moment later, she uses her sacred spear and launches a powerful attack toward them. Faced with danger, Lewis Carrill's eyes glow with an intense blue light as he prepares. In a swift move, our MC blocks the spear's attack with his sword. Seeing this, Faye Durahan is surprised and compliments his skill, as the boy is very good. Lewis Carrill then grips her spear firmly and looks at her with a confident expression. From there, the noble tries to pull her weapon back, but he holds it with great force. In a quick motion, he uses her spear to unbalance her in the middle of combat. But Faye regains her balance and charges forward, yelling for them to continue the battle. A moment later, she leaps into the air and prepares another attack with her powerful sacred spear. Her blow hits the ground with full force, causing a massive explosion that kicks up a lot of dust. From a distance, the proctors watch the fight, impressed by the elite noble's power. One of them comments that her speed and power are perfect, as expected from a genius, but the other doubts that our MC will last long, as a commoner has no chance. Just then, Aronian appears, and one of the guys asks who he thinks will win the fight. The headmaster admits he likes the boy but states that he cannot defeat Faye. With a thoughtful look, he explains that the battle is a clash of bodies and also of wills. The dust settles, revealing that our MC withstood the brunt of the attack without any problems. Back in the fight, Faye charges with all her might and uses her sacred spear to attack our hero. From there, she unleashes a sequence of rapid strikes that the boy blocks with his sword. The noble gets irritated because even with all her strength, Lewis Carrill doesn't retreat a single step. At that moment, our MC finds an opening, and his eyes glow with an intense blue light. With absurd speed, he grabs the girl's spear before she can react to the move. Using the leverage, he throws her over his body, completely reversing the situation. A moment later, the boy twists her wrist forcefully, making the noble drop her weapon. Disarmed, Faye is furious and glares at our MC with a look of pure hatred for the humiliation. But in a swift move, she grabs him and throws him over her shoulder, showing her physical strength. Our MC lands with agility and throws some metal discs at his opponent. The girl is impressed and says that not even the Hare Kane managed to dodge all the blows. With a smile, Lewis Carrill replies that it's not that hard if she just pays closer attention. From there, Faye picks up her spear again and imbues it with flames, challenging the boy once more. A moment later, she slams the weapon on the ground with full force, causing a powerful fire explosion in the arena. With that, the noble leaps and uses her sacred spear Crescent Fall to end the battle for good. Our MC analyzes the fight, thinking about the various techniques a spear can have. He then reflects that the combination of reach with the strikes makes the weapon very dangerous, but at the same time he knows that the spear also has several fatal weaknesses to exploit. With that, Faye spins her weapon rapidly, creating a defensive barrier against the boy's advance. From there, our hero realizes that her greatest vulnerability is close quarters combat. Therefore, he just needs to calculate the right timing to close the distance once and for all. With the plan set, he uses the sword dance and launches a powerful counter attack on the noble. Faye smiles confidently and says she already knows exactly what our hero's real plan is. A moment later, she dodges the attack and warns that this tactic won't work on her. With a quick step, the noble uses the spear's shaft as a support to change her position in mid-air. This way, she begins to spin with her weapon, creating a true whirlwind of power in the arena. Our MC is surprised, as he didn't expect her to be able to counterattack so quickly. The The girl then yells that the Durahan family's sacred spear has no weaknesses. From there, a powerful energy attack flies toward the boy with full force and no mercy. From a distance, the proctors comment that the noble's talent surpasses that of a common apprentice. Faced with the attack, our MC says it's a shame and prepares to use his swordsmanship. With that, he uses the sword net and creates a blue energy barrier to defend against the blow. The boy thinks that the spear's other weakness is its high energy consumption, and if he defends well, an opening will surely appear, but his sword begins to crack under the pressure of the blow. Faye continues her powerful attack with a confident look, without retreating a single step in the battle. In that instant, Louis's eye glows as he concentrates and finally finds an opening. From there, he leaps into the middle of the attack and points his sword at the center of her spear. But with the impact, the tip of his sword simply shatters in the middle of the sword fight. A moment later, the broken piece of the blade falls hard onto the dense forest floor. Our MC is surprised as he didn't expect his weapon to break so easily. Seeing this, Faye observes him with a serious look, but also a little impressed by the fight. The girl then compliments the boy and asks if he was going to counter-attack if the sword hadn't broken. Louis confirms and laments that his luck seems to be terrible at such an important moment for him. Faye then accuses him of holding back, but he says it's a habit to observe before fighting seriously. With a confident smile, our MC warns that now he's going to fight with everything he's really got. Faye then comments that his weapon is already completely broken and no longer useful for fighting. In a swift move, our MC discards what's left of his sword without a care. From there, he gets into a fighting stance and reveals that he's actually much better with his fists. At this, the two face each other in silence, waiting for the perfect moment to attack their opponent. Suddenly, the noble finds an opening and prepares to launch her most powerful attack. With that, she stumps hard on the ground and uses all her momentum to charge forward with her sacred spear. A moment later, the girl spins her body and launches a spinning attack with absurd force. But our MC remains still, preparing to take the blow head-on without retreating. Kane screams desperately, warning him that he'll get hurt if he takes that blow head-on. Unfazed, Louis Carroll joins his hands and creates a powerful, shining blue energy sphere. From there, he shapes the energy and creates a spiral to mimic the movement of the noble's spear. This way, the boy charges forward and clashes his energy technique against Faye's powerful attack. With a battle cry, he uses all his strength to stop the girl's spinning blow. Kane and Faye are completely shocked, unable to believe what they are seeing right in front of them. Impossible because our MC managed to stop the sacred spear using only his bare hands. From a distance, Headmaster Aronian and the other proctors are left with their jaws dropped at what they just saw. But Faye Durahan yells that the battle isn't over yet and prepares for a new powerful attack. With that, she kicks the ground and throws her sacred spear toward our MC. The noble then yells that if a single point of attack doesn't work, she'll try something else. From there, she lands on the ground and faces Louis Carroll with a look of pure determination. Our MC just watches the noble prepare for her next move. Suddenly, several images of Faye appear and surround the boy from all sides at once. A moment later, all the girl's copies charge forward with their spears glowing with flames. The combined attack of the images flies toward our hero to finish him off for good. But our MC just smirks, showing not a hint of fear of the attack. Mockingly, he asks so what, and several energy arms emerge around him. From there, his energy arms move and grab all the spears approaching him. This way, he stops the attack of all the copies at the same time, generating a shockwave. Faye Durahan is completely shocked, unable to believe he managed to stop her attack. Aronian then realizes that he is stopping the spear's rotation with a very special technique. Aronian smiles and says he's never seen this technique before and that our MC always surprises him. With a furious shout, Louis Carroll uses all his strength and pushes Faye's spear away. At that, the impact throws the noble backward while our hero prepares his counter-attack. But Faye manages to stop by digging the tip of her spear into the ground to avoid being thrown away. With rage in her eyes, she glares at the boy, unable to believe her technique was stopped again. Faye then holds the broken tip of her spear and asks what kind of weird technique that was. Our MC explains that it's a martial art to nullify the rotational force of her weapon. The girl is completely confused, not understanding anything he just said about the fight. With no time to explain, he charges forward with everything he's got to end the battle once and for all. The noble is caught by surprise by our MC's sudden advance toward her. With incredible speed, he runs toward her to close the distance between them. His feet move with agility, showing that he has perfectly mastered martial arts. From there, he dodges one of her blows, leaving an afterimage behind to confuse her a bit. Faye's attack hits empty space while our hero is already positioned right behind her. Using his speed, he creates several afterimages to leave the noble completely disoriented in combat. Kane is confused and wonders if what he's seeing is an optical illusion, as he doesn't understand the movement. His movements resemble those of a butterfly, and he dodges attacks with surreal lightness. Faye gets furious because he's right in front of her, but she can't land a single hit. It was the butterfly step, a technique from a legendary boxer who moved his feet incredibly fast. Because of this light and hard to catch rhythm, his footwork was perfect for the situation. This technique was perfect for the situation, and he prepares to finally attack the noble. From there, he lands a direct hit right in the center of the noble's chest with all his strength. The blow hits her head on and sends her flying with the force of the impact, which kicks up dust. Kane's jaw drops, unable to believe he managed to throw Faye away like that. Headmaster Aronian watches the scene with a serious look, as he didn't expect that outcome. The proctors comment that few can defeat Faye without using magic and wonder if the boy is perhaps a true genius in close quarters combat because of his skills. But Faye gets up and says it's not over yet because she's from the Durahan family and won't give up. Our MC stares at her with a serious look, realizing she still has the strength to fight. Being from a great family, she prepares to use all her power and continue the battle. With a red aura, Faye yells that she will not lose the battle so easily, no matter what. Our MC is surprised because she abandoned her spear to use martial arts. From there, the noble charges forward with everything she's got and yells for him to prepare for her attack. Seeing the girls advance, Louis Kirill prepares to use the famous Wing Chun technique. He then uses the Paxal move to intercept her blow with a shining blue energy. But Faye shouts the name of her technique and uses her smashing fist with all her might. The two clash with full force, and the impact of the blow generates a huge wave of power in the forest. Our MC analyzes the impact and says her power is very similar to the 1-inch punch. He compliments her technique, and Faye explains that the Durahan family doesn't just fight with spears. From there, the noble uses the third strike of her smashing fist and unleashes a flurry of punches. With a confident smile, our MC accepts the challenge and prepares to use the art of boxing. This way, the two exchange a sequence of rapid blows in a battle of pure skill. His eyes shine with excitement because fighting a strong opponent was his life's dream. Completely immersed in the fight, his heart pounds with more and more power with each passing second. His eyes glow with an intense red light, showing his immense thirst for battle. With a terrifying smile and a demonic aura, our MC yells that they're going to have more fun. Faced with that, Faye is confused and wonders what that strange energy he just released is. A demonic red aura appears behind him with a terrifying and very powerful appearance. The noble is completely paralyzed with fear, and her body simply can't move anymore. With that, our MC stomps on her face, pinning her to the ground with great ease. A moment later, he kicks her with full force, sending her flying with the power of his mighty blow. From a distance, Headmaster Aronian is surprised and wonders what that energy he felt was. The noble flies through the forest and hits the ground hard after being struck by the boy's kick. The impact even makes her hit a tree, and she falls to the ground completely defeated and powerless. Kane and another noble watch the scene from afar, completely shocked by the battle's outcome. The noble is furious, unable to believe that a simple commoner managed to corner the powerful Faye. Suddenly, one of the nobles watching the fight starts to feel a very strong headache. From there, the guy throws up, and his friend worriedly asks what's happening to him. Brian replies that he doesn't know but feels very sick and starts trembling with fear of something. At that moment, he feels the same sensation and realizes the cause is our MC's aura. The noble is livid because the plan failed, and he never thought the commoner would be this strong. Meanwhile, Brian, who's already all beaten up, thinks that if the legend is true, they can't let our MC live no matter what, as the boy advances with his aura. Faye, fallen on the ground, is shocked by the crushing pressure coming from the boy in front of her. From there, Lewis Carroll charges with absurd speed toward the fallen noble. With that, he lands a powerful punch right in the middle of her face, and she screams in pain from the impact. The blow sends her flying, making the girl tumble across the ground again. With a furious shout, our MC unleashes all his power at once. A huge blast of red energy crashes down on the completely defenseless noble. Faye realizes that his power and speed are on another level and that there's no way to win. A giant energy fist descends with full force toward the girl to end the fight. At this rate, she realizes she's going to be completely annihilated by our hero's attack. But at the last second, Faye uses her Arcana martial technique with a magic circle. From there, she unleashes her powerful flame fist to defend herself from the final blow. The clash of the two attacks causes a gigantic fire explosion throughout the forest. With the explosion, Faye screams in pain as she is thrown away with great force by the attack. From there, she flies through the forest and breaks several trees with the force of the magic's impact. Our MC is also pushed back by the force of the explosion and skids across the ground. With wide eyes, he is shocked and thinks about what just happened in that moment. With his hands smoking, the boy gets up and finally understands the true power of magic. Kane runs up and asks if he's okay, but Lewis Carroll says he's fine and worries about Faye. Suddenly, a voice announces that number 30,947 has lost their emblem. At that, the noble appears with a smile and says that our MC is officially disqualified, Our MC looks down and sees his emblem slowly burning on his shirt. A moment later, the emblem burns completely and turns to ash right in front of him. The noble tells him to get out of there, but Kane defends him, saying it was all just an accident. With a smile, the guy says the headmaster saw everything, and that he shouldn't help a commoner cheat. He then grabs our MC and says he's interfering and that trash should disappear. But lying on the ground, all beaten up, Faye yells and asks him to wait a moment before acting. At this, the noble and Kane look back, completely surprised by her interruption. Our MC is surprised as he didn't expect her to be okay after the fight. Steaming with anger, Faye gets up and faces the boy with a look of pure determination. The noble questions her, asking if she's trying to protect the commoner and get disqualified. Faye tells the guy to shut up and says she knows our MC's emblem burned. Kane is shocked that she apologized to Lewis for using magic, and the boy says he was the one who went nuts. But the noble says it's okay and that he won because he made her use magic in the battle. The noble scoffs and asks if he can enroll even with only 4 emblems. In a swift move, the girl tears off a piece of her clothing with her own emblems on it. From there, she hands the emblems to our MC as a reward for his victory. With this, the boy now has 14 emblems in total, securing his spot in the academy. The noble explains that his emblem burned after he defeated her, and that should be a valid record. She then turns and gets Kane's attention with a wave and a smile. With a serious look, the noble says she doesn't accept weak people passing while those who deserve it fail. From there, she picks up her spear and kicks the weapon high into the air with a challenging look. With the weapon in hand, she asks what happens if the 10th place finisher has 14 emblems or more. Kane smiles and says it's a coincidence because he was thinking the same thing as the noble. From there, the two run off, and Faye says she needs to collect more emblems to pass the exam. Our MC watches them go as one of the proctors approaches him from behind. A moment later, the man informs him that he has been disqualified and will be escorted off the premises. As the boy is led away, the noble glares at him, thinking that this isn't really over yet. The guys comment that if he defeats Faye and others, he'll surely pass, and one of them gets ticked off. With a malicious smile, the group's leader thinks it wouldn't be strange if an applicant ended up gone. At that, Brian encourages Sheath to do the job and hopes our hero isn't a weakling. At the same time, the strange sensation he caused makes everyone wonder about his identity. The proctor says that martial arts are strong, but alone, they can't match the power of magic. Standing before the academy, Lewis Carroll dreams of learning to fuse magic with his martial arts. By nightfall, he realizes his clothes are torn and worries about what he'll tell his mom. He then reflects that if he tells the truth, she'll get worried and ask him a lot of questions. Suddenly, a hooded man appears behind him and prepares to attack him by surprise. A moment later, the assassin swings his blade with all his might to strike the boy down. But our MC dodges with ease, and the guy's weapon goes flying with the movement. With glowing eyes, the assassin is shocked and asks how he noticed his presence. Lewis Carroll explains that the smell of blood is something he simply can't hide. A moment later, 2 other guys appear, and the leader scoffs at our MC's calmness. Surrounded by the assassins, he realizes the guys are skilled, and he needs to fight with everything he's got. He then notices a 4th guy in a tree and senses that he is, by far, the most dangerous of the group. One of the assassins takes advantage of the distraction and charges with a very powerful spinning kick. The guy yells that if he looks away, his head will go flying from the force of the blow. Faced with the danger, Lewis Carroll's eye glows with an intense blue light as he prepares. With incredible speed, he dodges the blow and even catches the assassin's weapon in mid-air. From there, he imbues the blade with his energy and prepares for a precise counter-attack. In a swift move, our MC uses the weapon to slam the guy to the ground. A moment later, he dodges a kick from another assassin who tried to catch him by surprise. Without wasting time, the boy throws the weapon, sending it spinning toward the other enemies in the forest. Seeing this, the group's leader confirms that the intel was right about his skills. Our MC is confused and wonders what kind of information they had on him. The leader admits his fighting rivals that of an apprentice, but challenges him to fight against magic. From there, the 3 assassins fire their crossbows, launching magic arrows at him. Our MC is surprised but manages to block the magic attacks using his own arms. He then recognizes the wind arrows and gets ticked off, as he already had to deal with them in the forest. Faced with this, the boy decides to use his breathing technique to turn the tables on the assassins. With that, he uses the ki in his body to increase his physical strength and unlock his latent abilities. His eyes glow with blue energy as he explosively increases his power and speed. The leader scoffs and calls his fighting useless as the guys fire more magic arrows. But our MC dodges the arrows that cross in mid-air with impressive speed. One of the guys is shocked by his speed and wonders where the boy went in the middle of the fight. A moment later, our hero appears in the air and shatters one of their crossbows with a powerful stomp. The group's leader is completely shocked, unable to believe the speed of his counter-attack. From there, he lands a powerful kick right to the leader's head, who screams in pain from the blow. Even with the other guys firing non-stop, he lands on the ground and continues the battle against them. With that, the leader of the assassins furiously yells for his men to stop our MC. At that point, one of the guys jumps into the air and launches a powerful kick to try and hit the boy, but our MC defends against the blow with his arm, creating a shockwave from the impact. The force of the blow pushes him back, and he is surprised by the assassin's strength. A moment later, he skids across the ground and realizes the guy in front of him is no ordinary opponent. With a serious look, our MC prepares for the fight, because the guy is really strong. The mysterious assassin then lands on the ground and faces the boy with an air of superiority. At that, the other guys surround him and prepare more magic arrows to attack him again. Surrounded on all sides, he is forced to defend against attacks coming from all directions. Several magic arrows hit him at the same time, showing the difficulty of the situation. With the barrage of attacks, our MC finally falls to the ground, seemingly defeated. One of the guys with an axe approaches and comments that he finally went down and that shooting at him was tiring. He then wonders if the boy is really a commoner, as he gave more trouble than a regular apprentice. But suddenly our hero's eye glows with an intense blue light, staring at the assassin. In a swift move, he grabs the axe blade with his hand, stopping the final blow. The assassin screams in pain as our hero's hand squeezes the axe with absurd force. From there, Lewis Carroll uses the guy's momentum to drive the blade into his neck. With the move, he spins and throws the assassin's body into the other guys, knocking them down. The mysterious assassin is startled and wonders if the boy was just playing possum. Our MC then gets up and looks at the body of the henchman he just defeated. Seeing the scene, the mysterious assassin claps and praises the young boy's skill. Lewis Carroll asks if he doesn't care, but the guy says he doesn't give a flip about what happens to trash. Enraged, our MC hurls the axe with all his might at the masked assassin, but the guy is very clever and moves quickly, creating several afterimages to confuse our hero. He then prepares a purple energy attack and says that if it weren't for a certain person's orders, he would definitely want to make our MC his great and powerful disciple. A moment later, his powerful blow hits Lewis Carroll square in the shoulder with full force. The impact of the attack is so strong that it creates a huge crater in the dense forest floor. With that, our hero is sent flying, screaming in pain and bleeding heavily from the wound. The assassin then appears in the air and prepares to deliver the final blow to the fallen boy. The assassin says his skill might surpass an apprentice's, but it's useless against him. With glowing eyes, he yells that our MC is nowhere near his level of power. From there, his attack hits the ground and causes a gigantic explosion that destroys everything. With a battle cry, the guy descends with full force, enveloped in a dark and powerful energy. A moment later, the dark energy lunges forward to finish our MC off once and for all. Dust rises and covers everything after the powerful and devastating attack from the masked assassin. The assassin then stares at the crater and is surprised by what he sees in the middle of the attack's smoke. It was our MC who was still alive, and the guy wonders how he managed to survive. With his body glowing, the boy gets up and yells that he will not perish in that place. But the assassin scoffs and warns that it's too late, as our hero's life ends right there. He then says that not even a goddess can save him, and prepares his most powerful attack of all. Facing his end, Lewis Carroll screams and uses his arcana martial technique, the Celestial Hammer. The purple attack descends with full force to crush our hero, who is down in the crater. With his face full of rage, he yells that he cannot perish in that place again. From there, he remembers that he wants to master magic to protect his precious and beloved family. With his eye glowing red, he decides he will change his fate no matter the cost. From there, he unleashes a red aura and yells that he will survive, no matter what. His red energy then clashes with the assassin's purple hammer in a massive impact. The assassin is completely shocked, as he did not expect that counter-attack from the boy. A moment later, a golden explosion of light destroys the forest with absurd force. The fiery explosion rises to the heavens and illuminates the entire night with its intense, strong glow. Lying on the ground, our MC coughs heavily, having used all his energy in the final attack. The assassin finds it strange because his hammer is still smoking after the clash of powers. He then feels like he's fighting an opponent on equal footing for the first time. With that, the guy finally understands why that person is after our hero. He then raises his hammer and yells that the monster needs to be put down once and for all. Suddenly, a voice says that's enough, and a wave of green energy hits the assassin head on. The green energy spins and throws the guy away with completely overwhelming force. A moment later, the energy transforms into several green dragons that fly through the forest. The assassin is terrified and wonders what this powerful dragon magic is. A huge green energy dragon forms in the air with completely overwhelming power. From there, the assassin is hit by several beams of light and screams in pain from the attack. Lying on the ground, our MC is confused, not understanding what those lights are. A moment later, Headmaster Aronian appears floating in the air with a powerful aura around him. With wide eyes, Lewis Carroll wonders what the Academy's headmaster is doing there. With a smile, Aronian says he suppressed the fury and tells him to drink a magic potion. Our MC then takes the potion and drinks it all at once to recover from the battle. Meanwhile, the assassin is slammed to the ground by the force of the headmaster's magic. With a furious look, Aronian asks who gave the order to attack one of his examinees. Lying on the ground, the guy calls him Grandmaster and tells him not to protect that monster. At this, the headmaster glares at him with a dark and completely terrifying look. But the assassin smirks and says that this is just the beginning of a much larger plan. From there, the guy's body simply explodes, sending his remains flying everywhere. Aronian wonders if it was a self-destruct and if the Assassin's Guild was involved. As our hero gets up, he is impressed as that was an advanced healing potion. The potion is so strong that even his broken bones heal instantly, getting him back on his feet. Our MC then faces Aronian and asks if he wasn't just passing by chance. With a serious look, he questions why the headmaster always shows up to save him at the worst moments. Aronian replies that they will discuss the matter at his house, leaving the boy completely surprised. Suddenly, Lewis Carroll panics as he remembers that his mother must be very worried about him being late. Because of this, he takes off running at high speed through the forest, leaving the headmaster behind without a second thought. Seeing the boy leave, Aronian summons a shadowy creature and orders it to clean up the entire battle mess. The creature then obeys and begins to clean up the crater and the remains of the assassins left at the site. The scene changes to the city of Mantia, where two guys are threatening Luciella in front of the orphanage. They accuse the woman of robbing people with taxes, and she says she was just waiting for the children. The guy calls her a liar and grabs her by the wrist, saying she needs a lesson right now. But suddenly, a fist smashes into the guy's face, catching him completely by surprise. It was our MC, who arrives with a flying kick and sends the aggressor flying with all his strength. Luciella is shocked to see Lewis there, while the guy hits the ground, completely defeated by the blow. With her hands over her mouth, she is completely terrified by the scene she just witnessed. Our MC runs to his mother and worriedly asks if she's okay amidst the chaos. But Luciella holds his face and notices his clothes are torn and covered in blood. He tries to calm her down, saying he just got caught on a tree during the Magic Academy exam. Just then, the other guy gets up, furious, and accuses him of breaking the rules and defying the local lord. This scares Luciella, and the bully threatens to report our MC to the lord. Suddenly, Aronian descends from the heavens and says there seems to be a big misunderstanding. From there, he lands next to Lewis and introduces himself as the headmaster of the Candria Academy. The guys are terrified, realizing he's a grandmaster for being able to fly like that. With a dark look, the headmaster tells them to give his regards to their lord and get lost. Completely scared, the two bow and assure him they will leave everything to the Grandmaster. Aronian then turns to Luciella and says he needs to discuss an important matter with her about the boy. With that, the three enter the orphanage, and the woman invites the headmaster to sit by the fireplace. Aronian then notices the millstone and wonders if it's the same one the nobles mentioned before. Looking closer, he realizes the stone's mechanism is everywhere in the house. At that, our MC fiddles with a panel on the wall, revealing it to be part of the same mechanism. Luciella serves some fruit and explains that our MC invented all of it to make their lives easier. From there, she asks if he caused any trouble, but Aronian says the boy's results were incredible. The headmaster then reflects that he had only seen such talent in the ancient scripture of Gaia. At that, he remembers when humanity was ruled by monsters and a genius emerged to fight. Guided by the goddess, the boy created arcana martial arts, and along with his friends, fought against the monsters. With that, they won the war, and the day became known as Liberation Day, starting the new calendar. In the scripture of Gaia, the name of that great warrior was known to all as the first hero. Luciella calls him a savior, but our MC says that in popular legends, this hero doesn't exist. Aronian then explains that in the legends, the hero appears in a very different way from the original. A moment later, he reveals that the hero had black hair and black eyes, leaving the two shocked by the revelation. With a serious look, the headmaster says this is a huge secret known only to humanity's elite. He then tells them that the hero saved everyone, but a madness grew within his heart. Because of this, sometimes he couldn't distinguish allies from enemies and would end up attacking everyone. Therefore, his existence was completely erased from history so that no one would know the truth. Aronian finishes by saying that this inner madness was like a curse that slowly consumed him. Our MC stares at his hand and wonders if the inner madness came from that time he went berserk in the fight. Aronian then explains that's why in every country, when they find someone with black hair and eyes, they eliminate them. From there, he touches the boy's head and asks if he thought he could fool everyone with dye. Luciella panics and confesses that she was the one who told him to dye his hair, fearing something bad would happen. But our MC comforts her and tells her to calm down, that everything is fine and there's nothing to worry about. He then explains that if the headmaster wanted to take him out, he would have done so already, and there's a reason he's here. With a smile, Aronian praises the boy, as he not only resisted the madness but also completely tamed it. At this statement, the two are shocked, and the woman asks if he's talking about a new hero. The headmaster picks up an apple and explains that the world seems peaceful, but beneath the surface, great darkness is always lurking, and seeing the boy fight today made him think of something important. With the fruit in his hand, he says the legends are absurd and that the world needs a new, true protector. Because of this, he wants to guide our MC in the right direction for the future of all humanity. A moment later, the Academy's headmaster throws the apple forcefully at our MC. In a swift move, the boy catches the fruit in the air, facing Aronian with a very serious look. Aronian then leaves, revealing that thanks to the efforts of Faye and Kane, he managed to pass the exam. The headmaster then extends his hand and invites him to receive his personal instruction at the Candria Academy. Our MC smiles and asks if he's betting on him, and what happens if one day he completely loses it. At the question, Aronian's eye glows with an intense purple light, showing his seriousness. Suddenly, the headmaster catches the apple that our hero tossed in the air, taking the boy by surprise. With a cold look, he warns that if that ever happens, he himself will put an end to the boy. The next day, a friend from the orphanage is shocked to hear about the invitation. But Lewis says it wasn't just because of that. Our MC then scratches his head, worried about the Academy's costs like tuition and uniforms. From there, he reflects on his connection to the legendary hero and the so-called inner madness he possesses. At that, he remembers when Aronian revealed he knew about the hair dye he used, and also the promise to take him out if he lost control, making him doubt his trust. Lewis then asks why he let his mother hear everything, and the headmaster says she would be a burden. At this, our MC gets furious and yells at Aronian that his mother is not a burden. The headmaster explains that when his identity is exposed, his family will be in danger, and she needs to know. A moment later, Aronian flies off and warns him to get stronger, because the real tests have only just begun. Our MC then faces the Academy and agrees that he needs to get stronger for what's coming. Suddenly, the orphanage children run toward him, happily shouting our MC's name. With a smile, a little girl named Lana jumps into his arms for a big, tight hug. With tears in her eyes, she asks if he's coming back home because she doesn't want to say goodbye. Our MC then comforts her and promises he'll be back for the holidays, as this is his real home. From there, the two make a pinky promise to seal the deal so she won't be sad anymore. Just then, one of the boys announces that a noble's butler is looking for him at the orphanage. A moment later, a man in a fancy suit approaches and asks if he is indeed Louis Kirill. He introduces himself as the butler of the Aranka family, and hands the boy an invitation from the young Master Kane. Our MC reads the letter and finds out that Kane wants to deepen their friendship before school starts. With that, he accepts the invitation, and the butler guides him to the luxurious carriage waiting for him. The carriage then travels through the large and prosperous city of Harzan in the Candria Empire. He learns that the Aranka family is very important, and that the entire city prospered because of them. Standing before the enormous mansion, our MC's jaw drops, as he's never seen anything so big in his life. Suddenly, Kane runs toward him and greets him with a very cheerful smile on his face. Kane then hugs him and comments that he heard he caused a big commotion in the final exam. Our MC says he only passed because of them and that he'll forget the bet, but Kane disagrees. The noble comments that they couldn't fight in the exam, so he wants the boy to be his opponent before classes start. Louis Kirill smiles, realizing the hare wants to learn more about the academy and magic with him. Suddenly, a mysterious voice asks about all the commotion, catching both of their attention. It was Kane's mother, who glares at the boy with contempt and asks who that person is. The hare tries to introduce our MC as his friend, but the woman doesn't like the idea at all. With a shout of silence, she interrupts him with a furious look, showing all her authority. From there, she scolds him for his friendships and asks when their house became a place for just anyone. She says our hero is not worthy of being his friend, and that associating with the boy is a waste of time. With that, the noble tells Kane to just train as his father ordered and become a great sage. A moment later, she approaches Louis Carroll with an air of superiority and stares him down. With a threatening look, she asks what his purpose is in getting close to her son, whether it's for money or power. The noble then offers a gold ring and says that with it, he can live his whole life if he just leaves, without a care in the world. The woman simply throws the gold ring on the floor in front of the boy. With a look of disgust, she tells our MC to pick up the ring and leave her house forever. Kane is furious and yells at his mother, asking why she would do something like that. A moment later, the hare turns to Louis Kirill and apologizes for his mother's attitude. Our MC kneels and says he became his friend because he recognized his true potential. With that, he picks up the ring from the floor and asks if Kane's word is worth so little to her. The hero is touched by his friend's attitude and watches him with a look of pure concern. Faced with the defiance, the noble becomes absolutely furious and calls her guards to handle the situation. With a furious shout, she orders her men to throw the commoner out of her house right now. Kane steps in front and tries to stop the guards, saying the boy is more talented than him and even defeated Faye. The noble scoffs and says she doesn't believe such lies, as a commoner would never surpass the great families. But our MC asserts that with him around, the heir can become even stronger in the future. The woman loses it and yells that a commoner can't be so arrogant and mock the Aranka family. From there, the guards grab both of them and start dragging them out of the mansion violently. Suddenly, an imposing man appears at the mansion's door, catching everyone's attention. With a serious look, the man repeats the phrase our MC said about Kane getting stronger. At that, the three of them turn, completely shocked by the unexpected arrival of the man. The guards bow and call the man Master, showing great respect for him. Kane's mother gets nervous and calls him William with a look of pure concern. Kneeling, she says that if Kane continues like this, he will never be able to catch up to him in the future. The man simply walks past her, not caring about what the woman was saying. Faced with the imposing figure, Kane bows and calls him Father, with a look of respect. Our MC introduces himself and feels a powerful aura coming from Grandmaster Aranka. William then asks if what the boy said is true, and Kane confirms that his skill surpasses his own. With a tiger's aura, he tells our hero to prove his worth and shows his full power. Our MC is shocked by the killing intent he feels coming from the man in front of him. From there, a huge red energy creature charges toward him with full force. The attack hits him head-on, and he yells that he can't breathe with so much pressure on his body. In great pain, he realizes that the man in front of him is truly very strong and dangerous. William's eyes glow with red energy, showing all his immense power. Our MC then realizes the guy is serious and really intends to take him out. With a look of pure malice, the Grandmaster prepares to finish the boy off right there. Faced with the danger, our MC's eyes glow with an intense blue light as he prepares. He feels a terrible force of will, as if his very soul is being torn from his body, but he compliments the Grandmaster's power and prepares to counter the attack with everything he's got. From there, he reveals that hunting monsters has made him resistant to this kind of power. With that, our hero unleashes all his energy in a huge explosion of golden flames. His golden aura expands with full force through the room, impressing the two nobles watching him. William Aranka is completely shocked, as he did not expect that reaction from the boy. A moment later, a fire dragon aura appears behind our MC for the combat. The boy's eye glows with red light, showing his immense determination in the fight, and so his dragon aura charges forward to clash with William's powerful tiger. The clash of the two auras causes a gigantic explosion of power throughout the mansion. Kane yells Lewis's name, completely worried about the unfolding situation. Dust rises and covers everything after the powerful and devastating clash of energies. Lying on the ground, our MC is faced by the Grandmaster, who observes him seriously. A moment later, Kane rushes to help him and worriedly asks if he's okay after the fight. William Aranka then asks our MC why he seeks strength so much. Lewis Carrill answers firmly that his only goal is to protect his beloved family. At this answer, the Grandmaster seems to reflect on the young boy's words. With that, he turns to Kane and says his willpower is weak, and that he should learn from the boy. The hero's mother is shocked and asks what William is thinking by saying that. The Grandmaster glares at her with a cold look and asks if she has any objection to his decision. The noble is scared and backs down, unable to say another word to her husband. From there, Kane invites our MC to the training ground for them to fight. Arriving at the location, the hero apologizes for his parents' behavior earlier. Our MC says it's okay but comments that his father is a bit extreme. Kane then reveals that his father only cares about merit, and that Lewis would be a better son than him. With a smile, the boy says the Grandmaster was just testing his skill because of him. Kane looks at the sky and reflects on the word love, which has never been a part of his life. A moment later, he remembers that since he was little, he barely left the house for anything. His only childhood memories are of eating, sleeping, and training non-stop every single day. He remembers that his father's greatest wish was for him to become a great sage like his grandfather. Because of this, he just swung his sword without even understanding why he was fighting so hard. Deep down, he just wanted his father to acknowledge him and praise him for all his effort. His house felt like a prison, and he felt like he needed permission even to breathe. The adults praised him, but to him, his status and talent were just heavy chains. And the tighter the chains became, the more he longed for the world outside. He dreamed of being free to sing like a bard or fly like a bird across the sky. His greatest wish was to be able to fly freely across the entire continent without any tease. But he knew that in their world, only strength mattered, and he was still too weak. Our MC listens to his friend's story with a very serious and focused expression. Kane explains that he didn't want to be strong, but swinging his sword was the only way. to break the chains that bound him and finally achieve his long-dreamed of freedom. He says his father graduated from the academy, and that's why he's going to enroll there too and get strong. This way he hopes to get permission to live his life the way he always dreamed. With a smile, the noble says he's counting on our MC to help him on this journey. With a smile, our MC accepts the challenge and gets into a fighting stance. From there, the two begin to fight with all their might while William Aranka watches from a distance. A moment later, a man approaches, and the Grandmaster asks for the results of the investigation. The butler reveals that our hero used mysterious combat techniques throughout the entire exam. He not only broke old records but also defeated the powerful Fae, who used magic. Furthermore, Headmaster Aronian protected him from the Assassins Guild the night before the attack. With this, William realizes the boy seems to be a real troublemaker. At this, the butler asks why he allowed contact with the young Master Kane. William explains that danger makes people grow and surpass their own limits. As they talk, the battle between the two young men becomes increasingly intense and balanced. The Grandmaster then reflects that perhaps our MC really can strengthen his son. Kane then uses his wind technique and prepares to launch a powerful attack on his friend. With a smile, our hero accepts the challenge and yells for the noble to come at him with full force. William smiles, thinking his son has a better eye for people than he does. From there, Kane uses his Arcana martial technique and launches the Wind Rush with all his might. Faced with the attack, Lewis Carrill's eye glows with an intense blue light as he prepares. At this, Kane is shocked, as his fist was stopped so easily by the boy. Our MC then blocks the blow with his arm and stops the hair's advance in mid-air. From there, he explains that using magic is good, but his movements are too linear. Kane smiles, finally understanding why not even the powerful Fae could defeat him. Our MC looks thoughtful and asks if there's something on his face for his friend. The hare then asks if he's never felt anything strange about his fighting style. Kane is confused and says they are the secret arts of the Aranka family that his father and grandfather used. With a serious look, our MC says what he means is that there is another path. The hare is shocked, as he never thought of a different path from his father and grandfather. Lewis Carrill then picks up a sword from the armory and prepares to show what he means. With a smile, he asks if Kane doesn't want to surprise his father with a new skill. From a distance, Grandmaster William Aranka watches the two boys training together on the field. He seems curious about what our MC is trying to teach his son. From there, the two leap into the air and begin a new type of training with daggers. With a dagger in hand, our MC explains that speed is the ultimate weapon in martial arts. He says speed isn't just about moving fast, but also about reacting and making split-second decisions. Lewis Carroll continues, commenting that Kane's natural speed is incredible and needs to be used well. From there, he explains that this speed pairs well with wind magic, but piercing techniques are difficult. With this, he suggests that this difficulty might have been why his father stopped at the Grandmaster rank. To maximize his talent, the boy warns that Kane will need to switch to a specialized combat style. Our MC then picks up two daggers and asks if the hare is prepared for this change. Kane smiles and says not to compare him to other nobles, as he'll do anything to be free. At this response, the boy praises his attitude and says the key is to move in and out when needed. With a determined look, the two agree to show William their skill and determination. From there, the two young men leap into the air and charge with everything they've got toward the powerful Grandmaster. Kane then uses his wind magic and yells for them to accelerate and increase the attack speed. This way, the two descend with full force, looking like a true green comet toward the Grandmaster. Seeing this, the butler is startled and yells for his master, but William stops him with a hand gesture. With that, the hare flies past his father, showing off his new and incredible skill with daggers. A moment later, our MC also flies past the Grandmaster, daggers in hand. He explains that daggers are the fastest and most maneuverable weapons in combat. With a focused gaze, our hero says they need to extract every advantage from them to the limit. From there, he uses the butterfly step to surpass the opponent's reaction speed. William Aranka is surprised by the boy's technique and watches the demonstration attentively. This way, he moves like a butterfly and attacks the Grandmaster from multiple angles at once. At the same time, Kane uses his wind magic to create several copies and move across the battlefield. With that, the two attack together from the air, combining their skills to impress the Grandmaster. Kane feels light and realizes his body, and the daggers move as if they were one. With this new sensation, he feels like a bird finally free to fly through the skies. He loves the fusion of his combat techniques with the powerful wind magic he commands. From there, a green aura envelopes his dagger as he prepares to show his new power. From a distance, William Aranka watches everything with a serious and very impressed look. His eyes widen, as he didn't expect to see such rapid development in his son. With a battle cry, the hare declares that this is his new and true martial path. Seeing the scene, William Aranka doesn't seem the least bit impressed with the boy's demonstration. Suddenly, he unleashes a red energy that sends both young men flying with great force. With that, the Grandmaster calls them knave for abandoning the clan's techniques to prove something. Even with the impact, the two are thrown back but immediately prepare for the next attack. Our MC then yells for Kane to speed up, and the hare agrees with the plan instantly. From there, Kane uses his wind magic to accelerate, with our hero right behind him at full speed. The two then cross paths and create a powerful X-shaped energy attack toward him. Faced with the attack, the Grandmaster stares at the boys with a very serious expression on his face. Enveloped in green energy, they continue the attack from various different angles without stopping. At that moment, William Aranka's eye glows with red light, showing he's gonna fight seriously. With a red energy hand, he asks if that's all they can really do. A moment later, his energy hand lunges to try and grab Kane's dagger in mid-air. But the hare is much faster and manages to dodge the attack at the last second. With the dodge, William Aranka gets a look of pure hatred for missing his sure hit attack. He then glares at the boy from above and calls him a coward for dodging his powerful blow. Our MC explains that retreating isn't weakness, and Kane understands it's to prepare the next blow. With that, Kane's foot glows with wind energy as he prepares to advance again. From there, the retreat connects with the next attack, and the hare flies toward his father. Kane then uses his wind magic and creates a tornado to attack the Grandmaster with everything he's got. A moment later, our MC joins him, and the two run side by side on the field. Faced with the combined attack, William Aranka is surprised by the two boys' tactic. With a battle cry, the duo leaps into the air for a final, powerful attack against the Grandmaster. After the fight, our hero talks about a baseball technique called a changeup, leaving Kane confused. His eyes glow intensely as he prepares to show the technique in practice to his friend. With a shout, he lunges and attacks the hare with his dagger so he can understand the concept. Kane reacts in time and manages to block his friend's blow with his own combat weapon. The two stand with their daggers crossed as the training continues between them. He then explains that the technique is used to deceive opponents by varying speed. With this, even casual movements become feints, and if the enemy's reaction is delayed by a second, it's possible to crush them by maximizing the dagger's strength with attack speed. William Aranka moves with agility, easily dodging the two boys' attacks. Kane then charges with his dagger and launches a direct blow at his father with everything he's got. But the Grandmaster scoffs, saying such a slow attack means nothing to him. With a cold look, he analyzes his son's movement without showing any difficulty in defending. Kane uses the momentum and leaps over his father to continue the combined attack with his friend. From above, the hare prepares for the next phase of the plan he devised with our MC. The two smile confidently and get ready for the real attack they planned together. With a battle cry, they charge to attack the Grandmaster from both sides at the same time. Faced with the attack, the man simply says, "That's enough," and decides to stop the training. The duo stops mid-motion, surprised by the powerful Grandmaster's sudden order. With his hands behind his back, William gets his son's attention with a very serious look. Kane faces him, panting but still determined to show his father all his new power. The Grandmaster then warns him never to disgrace the name of the powerful Aranka family. With a smile, Kane replies, "West, sir," and seems to have finally earned his father's respect. From there, William leaves with the butler, while the boys watch the man from a distance. William reflects on the quick strikes and feints with speed variations that the boys used. From there, he finds the new possibility of retreating to prepare the next blow interesting. He is surprised, as he never imagined he could learn something new from two simple children. Our MC comments that it was a good chance to fight a Grandmaster, but that it's over now. Kane is overjoyed because his father acknowledged him for the first time and decides to give his friend a gift. A moment later, he takes our MC to the huge Aranka family library. Our MC's jaw drops at the number of books while Kane holds a box. The hare then gives him the gift and thanks him, saying that without him, he wouldn't have found his path so quickly. Our MC is surprised and speechless at his new friend's gesture of thanks. The box is filled with books, a bag of money, and scrolls, leaving the boy in shock. Kane explains that there are rare magic books that will surely help him a lot in his studies. Lewis sees that the curriculum is divided into magic and martial arts, and that everyone goes through a ritual. Kane then explains that it's a ritual to sense the elements through a statue of the goddess Gaia. From there, he reveals that even the great families have to pay 10 gold coins for the ritual. Our MC freaks out at the price, but the hare calms him down, saying it's free at the academy. But Kane explains that expenses and books are expensive and asks him to accept the gift. From there, he hands over the box and asks if their promise is finally settled with that. Our MC agrees and thinks he needs to find a way to make money at the academy. Suddenly, he has a brilliant idea and decides to use the knowledge from his past life to make a profit. With this in mind, he asks Kane if the Aranka family has any connections with merchant guilds. Our MC acts mysterious and says it's a secret, but that he'll find out everything in time. A week later, the day of the Kandria Academy's entrance ceremony finally arrives. Already in his new uniform, our hero walks confidently through the school courtyard with a smile. Suddenly, a pink-haired girl behind him smells a different scent coming from the boy. She wonders if it's a new, expensive perfume and deduces that his parents must be important nobles. The girl, named Rose, introduces herself and congratulates our MC on getting into the academy. He accepts her help to get to know the place and also introduces himself as Louis Kirill to the girl. Rose then tells him to follow her, but thinks she's never heard of the Kirill family before. As they walk, she begins to explain that for the past 2 years, the emperor has grown very old. Because of this, the imperial heirs are fighting with the nobles for power within the academy. Rose explains that thanks to Headmaster Aronian's efforts, the academy appears peaceful on the outside, but behind the scenes, there is a fierce struggle for resources among the institution's students. She warns that if a student is targeted and can't earn enough credits, they can be expelled. With that, the girl gets close to him with a very seductive look to try and find something out. She then asks which side of the fight he plans to join, and our MC is left speechless. Suddenly, a blonde guy appears out of nowhere and interrupts their conversation in the courtyard. He recognizes our hero as the commoner who broke the record and introduces himself as Brian. Rose is shocked, unable to believe the boy is a commoner, and says she smelled a different scent on him. From there, she gets close again and says he's being watched, so he should do his best. Upon learning he's a commoner, she loses interest and leaves, complaining that she wasted her time. Our MC just smiles and says it was a pleasure to meet her, despite her rudeness. Brian then turns to him and tells him not to mind the attitude of that noble girl. He shakes the boy's hand and explains that the academy is a miniature version of the Empire. Suddenly, Kane appears running and calls out his friend's name in front of everyone. With that, Brian says goodbye and tells him to call if he needs anything at the academy. Our MC stands for a moment, watching Brian walk away across the courtyard. A moment later, Kane Aranka approaches him from behind with a very suspicious look. The hare asks what he was talking about with Brian, and Louis Kirill replies it was just greetings. From there, Kane reveals that Brian is the Chancellor's son, but that the two are not close at all. Our MC then comments that at least the guy seems to be a decent and trustworthy person. Suddenly, Faye and Miliana appear, and Kane says he doesn't like people with weakles like Brian. Miliana teases the hare, saying that if he were as strong as Louis, Faye would surely acknowledge him. At this, Faye thanks our hero for his help during the exam, but he says she passed on her own. With a punch in the air, the noble warns with a challenging look that next time, she will definitely win. But our MC ignores her, and she yells that if he wants attention, he should defeat her in a fight first. And so, Miliana drags Faye away to finish registration while the noble yells that he'll regret it. With the commotion over, Kane hands a large bag of coins to Louis, saying it's his share. Kane explains that the money came from following his instructions at the Berna Village Trading Company. Inside the place, our MC shows a tray of perfumes and reveals that this was his secret. The hare doubts that will make any money, but Louis assures him to just try selling it and see. Kane is shocked by the price and says he'll give some to his mother while our hero smiles. From there, he asks his friend to keep the business a secret, and Kane agrees since he also profited. At the reception, a man hands our MC his credit card and wishes for him to become a master. A moment later, other nobles glare at him with disgust and comment that Sheath was expelled because of him. At that, Kane confirms that Sheath was expelled because they found out he hired the assassins to take him out. With a cold look, our MC finally understands who was behind the attack in the forest. The hare then warns him that Sheath has an older brother named Jess, and that he should be careful. Suddenly, Jess glares at the two with a look of pure hatred, showing that revenge is on its way. With a malicious smile, he tells his friends that the fun is just getting started for them. The scene then changes to the Academy's Grand Hall, where the entrance ceremony is finally about to begin. On stage, Headmaster Aronian welcomes everyone and congratulates them for overcoming the challenges. With that, he warns that this is just the beginning, and that everyone must study to become powerful. From there, the headmaster announces that the next speaker is the freshman representative, Neil Gunn. A moment later, the hammer guy walks up the stage stairs completely barefoot and shirtless. With his back to the crowd, Neil holds his enormous axe and prepares for his speech. The students are shocked and wonder why the first-place student is shirtless and has an insane aura. Seeing the scene, the professors are furious, and Headmaster Aronian can't believe the attitude of that idiot. With his axe in hand, Neil yells for all the imbeciles present to listen carefully to what he's about to say. From there, he reveals that his main goal is to defeat every single one of them until they all bow. The nobles are outraged by the boy's audacity and call him a savage brute for the threat. With that, the axe guy yells back, saying that everyone there is nothing but a bunch of trash-talking weaklings. Seeing the chaos, Aronian gets a stomachach and already feels like quitting his job as headmaster. He then points his weapon forward and reveals that his main target is a very specific person in the audience. A moment later, he throws his giant axe with all his might toward our MC and his friends. The weapon hits the floor with full force and stops right in front of our hero and Kane Aranka, who are startled. The axe is stuck in the hall floor, shattering everything with the force of the violent impact. Our MC and his friends stare at the weapon stuck in the floor, not understanding the situation at all. Neil then glares at the boy from a distance and yells Lewis Carroll's name for everyone to hear loud and clear. From there, he leaps and balances on his axe's handle to face our hero up close. With a challenging look, Neil stares at our MC and says the two of them will have a good fight eventually. With a malicious smile and glowing eyes, he says the two of them will fight one way or another. Our MC just stares back at him with a serious look, showing no emotion. Standing on his axe, Neil continues the challenge as the tension rises between the two boys. Kane steps in front of his friend and yells for him to stop, as the ceremony isn't over yet. With a frustrated look, our MC thinks that everyone here seems to be just like him. Neil then provokes Kane, asking if he's just a trash talker who's afraid to fight. With a look of pure rage, the hare prepares to retort to the boy's provocation, and so, he charges forward with everything he's got and throws a punch right at the axe guy's face. But Neil stops the blow with one hand and with absurd ease in the middle of the hall. Our MC then grabs Kane's arm and asks him to calm down and not fight. Neil scoffs and says he doesn't mind fighting both of them at the same time, calling them cowards. Suddenly, Brian approaches and says the two are the only talented commoners and should get along. With a serious look, he warns that if Neil keeps acting like this, he won't last long at the academy. But the axe guy tells him to get lost, saying he's not interested in small fry. Brian is completely shocked by the insult and glares at him with a look of pure rage. The other nobles get annoyed and complain that commoners have no manners for talking to Brian like that. Kane then mocks Brian, saying he embarrassed himself for nothing, as some people only learn by getting beat up. With a malicious smile, Neil accepts the challenge and warns that he'll finish the boy off first. But a professor appears and stops him from continuing the fight, reminding him that fights are forbidden there. He then explains that fights are only allowed in classes and tournaments, and anyone who breaks the rule is expelled. With an intimidating look, the man asks if he understood the academy's rules clearly. Neil starts to laugh and says that being expelled would be a big problem for his future plans. And so, he slings the axe over his shoulder and says the fight will have to wait. With an intense look, he warns Lewis Carroll to just wait, because their fight is going to happen. Our MC just stares back at the brute, accepting the challenge without saying a word. From there, the professor ends the ceremony and announces that classes start the next day. Our MC wonders why Neil picked a fight with him, and Kane blames Faye for the mess. Faye gets furious and punches Kane for calling her a muscle head and almost getting expelled. With that, she admits that it's partly her fault because she fought Neil during the final exam. The fight ended in a draw, but rumors said she lost to Lewis, and that's why Neil wants to fight him. With a smile, our MC says it's a good thing it didn't turn into a brawl, and Faye says she wouldn't blame him. From there, the trio decides to move on, leaving the ceremony's chaos behind for good. Our hero then realizes they are already hated by many people because of what happened. A moment later, they arrive at the academy store to buy the necessary materials for classes. Lewis Carroll freaks out, thinking everything is too expensive, but the saleswoman says that's not quite the case. With a smile, she shows a feather pillow that costs 30 silver coins and calls it a bargain. Then she grabs another pillow with magic herbs and says it costs only 5 gold coins. Kane then explains that this is the cheap side of the store, and that now he understands the importance of money, and so our MC buys the cheapest starter kit for 100 silver coins. With the perfume money, he thinks it's a good thing he made a profit earlier, and that he'll send the rest to the orphanage. He then realizes that potions are essential, and that he needs to find more ways to make money there. The girls say goodbye and say they are heading to the dorm, as the awakening ritual is the next day. With money on his mind, our MC decides it's time to work hard to earn more. The scene then changes to the enormous and luxurious dormitory of the Candria Magic Academy. With his pillow on his back, our hero looks for room 60 and hopes for no trouble. Suddenly, he's startled by a noise and ends up dropping his pillow on the hallway floor. Our MC hears shouting coming from one of the doors and decides to go over to see what's happening. In the room, a group of bullies surrounds a boy and threatens him, saying he'd better obey. The cornered boy just stares at the guys in silence, showing not a hint of fear in the face of the threat. With that, the group's leader gets furious at the boy's attitude and calls him a complete punk. From there, he grabs the boy by the shirt collar and asks if he's looking for a fight. Our MC then intervenes and touches the bully's hand, releasing a strange orange energy. With the energy, the guy screams in pain as his arm begins to be burned by an unknown power. Lewis Carroll reminds him that duels are forbidden and asks if he doesn't mind being expelled from the academy. The guy's friends try to defend him, saying they didn't do anything, while our hero picks up his things. The bully shouts that Lewis Curl threw the first punch, and that now it's self-defense for him. With that, he throws a punch, but our MC defends it easily with just one hand. In a swift move, he uses the momentum and lands a punch right in the face of another bully. The guy is sent flying by the force of the blow, leaving his friends completely shocked by the scene. With an innocent smile, our MC asks when he ever hit anyone in the hallway. The guy who got punched is furious and asks why he was attacked out of nowhere in the hallway. Our MC then releases the energy into the bully's leg and kicks him with great force. The kick hits him square on and sends him flying with the force of the impact, making him fall to the ground. The other bullies are totally confused and wonder what's really happening there. From there, he releases the energy into the guy's chest and makes him punch one of his own friends. With his body covered in energy, the bully is completely paralyzed and has no control over his actions. Our MC uses his power and makes him kick the other bullies, taking them down for good. Chaos ensues, and the group of bullies starts fighting among themselves for no apparent reason. One of them gets punched in the nose, and the group's leader despairs, trying to explain it wasn't him. With that, the guy points at our MC and yells that it's all his fault for the mess. With a malicious smile, our hero tells him not to blame others and calls him Senior. The bully realizes he was being controlled by the boy and calls him a monster because of his powers. Our MC gets a dark look and asks what he meant by the word monster. Scared, the bully scoots back and asks what the boy is going to do to them now. The boy who was saved thanks him for the help, and our MC realizes he's his roommate. Our MC then asks if he wants to just let the situation go and do nothing. With that, he warns that if they find out about the fight, everyone will be in trouble and offers to go to the headmaster. The group's leader gets scared and tells his men to run, because the boy isn't normal. Our MC introduces himself as Lewis and asks for his new roommate's name. The boy turns his back and just shows his name on the tag without saying a single word. With a curious look, our hero reads the name Caracandus on his school uniform. From there, the boy simply enters the room and closes the door in our MC's face. Alone in the hallway, our hero stands for a moment, thinking about what just happened. He then smiles and thinks the boy is just too shy and is definitely the type to get bullied. Our MC settles his things in the room and reflects that a lot happened on the first day. The scene then changes to the goddess's temple, where two people are fighting in a strange ritual. Two shadowy men with glowing eyes watch the fight from a distance with an air of mystery. The next day, the freshmen gather in the academy's grand temple for the awakening ritual. Our MC is impressed by the place and wonders if that is the goddess of their world. Standing before the statue, a professor announces that she's the great creator of all, the goddess Gaia. The professor explains that a long time ago, the goddess Gaia created a world where humans and monsters coexisted. But over time, the monsters began to use their overwhelming power, and dragons ruled the skies. Behemoths ruled the land, and krakens dominated the seas with their brutal and terrible power. Because of this, countless humans were annihilated in the chaos, and the goddess Gaia was filled with rage. She then gave her blessing to the humans who had no magic power so they could fight against the monsters. From there, they created arcana martial arts, and after harsh battles, they escaped annihilation. The professor says that now they will receive the goddess's blessing and awaken the true nature of the world. Our MC then realizes that even in the official legend, there is no mention of the first hero. With an annoyed look, he wonders why the first hero's existence was completely erased. Suddenly, the professor calls the attention of the two boys in the middle of the student crowd. He then guides them to one side of the temple, where they must participate in the awakening ritual. The man leads them to an altar and warns that if they have talent, they will be able to sense the elements. With a look of contempt, he adds that if they don't feel anything, they are just useless trash. Our MC just stares at the professor with a serious look, unfazed by the provocation. The man then yells that the academy has no need for trash and unleashes a purple energy on the two. With a shout, the professor tells everyone to sit down, as the awakening ritual is about to begin. Our MC then stares at the man and wonders why the professor hates him so much. The professor explains that the four great elements, earth, fire, wind, and water, are the foundation of the world. With that, he tells everyone to sharpen their minds and reach for what they feel under the goddess's blessing. From there, the man begins a prayer and asks the goddess who dwells in the heavens to bless them. A moment later, the magic circles on the temple floor glow with an intense, colorful light. The symbols of the four elements begin to glow, responding to the call of the awakening ritual. At the prayer, the statue of the goddess Gaia reacts and shoots a huge beam of light through the temple. With glowing eyes, the statue releases a powerful divine energy throughout the grand hall. The light concentrates and forms a sphere with the four elements right in front of all the students. Some students are caught by surprise and thrown back by the force of the released energy. Suddenly, the spiritual form of the goddess appears in a space filled with stars and colorful lights. One of the students is amazed and wonders if those lights are the elements he's heard so much about. From there, the fire element chooses one of the students, while another awakens the power of water. Suddenly, a huge fire tornado forms around Faye, showing her immense power. In addition to fire, she also awakens the earth attribute, leaving the other students with their jaws on the floor. They wonder how a commoner can control magic with such ease and call her a genius. With her eyes glowing with power, Faye is happy and shouts that this is exactly what she was talking about. From there, her power explodes and creates a huge circle of fire that impresses everyone in the temple. Neil then observes our MC and his friend, who are still sitting without awakening anything. With his arm covered in stone armor, he says that someone who doesn't even awaken can't be his rival. With a fiery aura, he yells that elements or whatever else will have to obey him. Kane then notices that no elements are gathering around his friend and gets worried. Our MC is confused because he can't feel anything and wonders why. He then wonders if it's because he's not originally from this world and therefore has no powers. But he remembers he felt a strange power when he fought Kane on the training ground. With his eyes closed, he feels his mind being suffocated by something strange and dark. A dark energy seems to trap him, preventing him from awakening his magic powers. Angrily, our MC says his will won't be controlled by that dark thing. At that moment, he remembers his past life, where he was confined to a wheelchair. With a furious shout, our MC unleashes a blue energy and says his will not be broken. From there, he explodes with all his power and releases a huge shockwave through the temple. The blue energy explosion spreads throughout the hall with completely overwhelming force. Suddenly, the image of the goddess dissolves and returns to being just a common stone statue. Our MC opens his eyes and is surprised by what he sees in the elemental space around him. He sees the 4 colors of the elements and wonders if these are the powers he so desperately wanted. The professor is shocked because he placed a magic circle to isolate him and doesn't understand how he escaped. Free from the barrier, our MC extends his hand to try and touch one of the shining elements. But the light of the water element moves away from him, leaving him completely confused. With that, he wonders why he can feel the elements but can't touch them at all. Back in the temple, his body starts to move on its own, making strange poses on the hall floor. Our MC is frustrated with the pain, and his friend Kara watches him with a concerned look. The professor scoffs, saying he's greatly mistaken if he thinks escaping the isolation will do any good. He then reveals that he used a confinement circle to block the flow between the spirit and the elements. In addition, he used a magic orb to weaken his connection to the elemental powers. The professor says he should blame himself for making so many enemies at the academy. With a malicious smile, he tells the boy to sit there in despair until the end of the ritual. By nightfall in the academy courtyard, most students have already managed to awaken their powers. Neil and his friends mock the 2 boys who are still struggling to awaken anything. With his eyes closed, our MC concentrates as hard as he can to try and sense the elements. Suddenly, his friend Kara taps him on the shoulder, drawing his attention to something on the floor. Our hero is confused and asks what's wrong with the floor where they are sitting. Kara then reveals with a serious look that the floor they are on is actually a trap. Our MC gets angry realizing the professor is really trying to sabotage him. With a determined look, he gets into a fighting stance to break the trap once and for all. From there, he lands a powerful punch on the floor, which shatters from the force of the impact. Our MC is shocked as he didn't expect a trap to be hidden there. With the floor broken, a purple confinement circle is revealed to all the students. Kara tells him to hurry up and grab the item in the center of the magic circle. Our MC then thanks his friend for his help and picks up the magic orb from the floor. With the orb in his hand, our MC stares at the broken floor and wonders if it was just a coincidence. With a serious look, he begins to suspect that it might not have been a simple accident. From a distance, the professor watches the 2 leave, completely satisfied with his foiled sabotage. But our MC decides not to care, because now the real trial by fire is finally about to begin. Free from the trap, he concentrates again and feels the powerful energy of the elements around him. A moment later, the 4 elements begin to fly at extremely high speed through the magical space. From there, all the lights merge and form a huge whirlwind around the boy in the temple. The other students are shocked and wonder what's going on, as it's just like Neil's power. Our MC then feels all the power of the elements flowing into his body at once.